Welcome to Whispers of the Night. Tonight's story begins not with noise, but with stillness. High above, the moon rises slowly, soft and silver, not rushing, not pulling, just glowing. You are safe here, at the edge of night. The world has done enough for today, and now it rests. The moon is your companion. Her light falls gently across hills, over ruins, across oceans, and into your room. She has watched every century pass, every dream ever dreamed beneath her glow, and now she watches over you. So take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, let yourself drift into her quiet, ancient light. The ride has just begun, and Selene is waiting. Now, let yourself settle even deeper. You are safe, here, where nothing is expected of you. Not now, not tonight. There is only quiet, only moonlight and breath. Notice how your body softens, your jaw relaxes, shoulders melt down into the bed. Let your arms grow heavy, your hands stillness. If the sky has poured peace directly into your limbs above you, the clouds move slowly, parting like curtain sand. There she is, the moon, watching, not judging, not asking, just being. You can be, too. You can rest. Each breath draws you deeper into stillnesses. If the whole world has gone to sleep and left only you floating in silver light, the night holds. You, Selene, rides onward, and you drift gently in her wake. Mythology, Selene's quiet ride across the night sky. The light that watches while you sleep. The sky outside is thick with cloud, the kind that glows faintly under street lamps and sighs as it passes over rooftops. Somewhere behind it all, the moon, Watson hurried, unseen but never gone. You lie still beneath the window, your breath moving like mist on a lake. The air is cool against your skin, and your limbs soften into the mattress like stones easing into sand. The world outside has hushed. Even the wind sounds drowsy now, slipping between buildings like a whisper. Somewhere in the distance, the occasional sound of tires on wet roads fades away. Then nothing, only quiet. Above it, all above the rooftops, the trees, the drifting cloud she watches. The moon, the same moon that watched ancient fires flicker outside marble temples. The same moon that touched rivers in silence before language was born. She has seen centuries pass, not with judgment, but with a calm kind of presence. Her gaze has always been patient. Tonight, you are not just looking at her. You are drifting with her. Your body relaxes with each breath, and your thoughts begin to lift, not upward, but inward, where memory and curiosity fold together like mist. You imagine that the clouds part just for a moment, and there she is, full and glowing, a quiet sentinel in a sky of dark blue silk. The light doesn't shout, it doesn't pierce, it spills gently across surfaces, roof tiles, the curve of your cheek, the rim of a teacup left cooling on the sill. Moonlight is not a lamp, it's a reflection. Sunlight, softened by distance and time, bounced back from the surface of a satellite 384,000 kilometers away. You feel this now, not as a number, but as a truth that the moon's light has touched far more than Earth. It has brushed the feathers of migrating birds, traced the tips of waves at sea, and settled on the brows of poets who waited for a word to come, and it touches you. You've probably heard the moon described as cold, but lying here in the dark, her light feels anything but. It's not warmth in the way the sun gives warmth. It's a warmth made of memory and rhythm and ancient comfort, a nightlight for the world. Long before clocks, long before calendars, there was the moon. She was the first timekeeper, marking months with her phases. Even the word month comes from moon. In some languages, the connection is still clear. In others, it has faded like old handwriting, but the rhythm remains. Your breath follows it. Inhale, ... a waxing crescent. Exhale, ... a waning gibbous. All of us, in some quiet way, mirror her changes. In ancient times, people didn't just look at the moon, they lived by her. The full moon was a moment for harvests, for gatherings, for rituals under open skies. The new moon, dark and unseen, was a time for rest, for seeds planted deep, unseen but waiting. You picture a figure from centuries ago, wrapped in wool, stepping outside into the cold night just to look up. No phone, no flashlight, just the moon, glowing silver over fields, a comfort, a presence, and our eyes are drawn more often to screens than to skies. The moon remains. You've likely seen her out your window and paused just for a moment without knowing why. Perhaps it was her shape that caught you, the way a crescent moon holds its curve like a secret, or the way a full moon seems to hum without making a sound. Science tells us the moon formed from a great impact billions of years ago. Earth, young and molten, was struck by something massive, and from the debris, the moon was born. Not placed there, not pulled from the sky, but made of Earth herself. She is our sibling, in a sense, carved from the same chaos, and maybe that's why she feels so familiar. You think of her surface dusted with ancient footprints, pocked with craters from time's long journey. She has no wind, no water, no weather to wash them away. A single mark left on her stays forever. Stillness. That's her language. And in your own stillness, lying here, you understand something without needing to name it. That this quiet watching light has outlasted empires. That her phases come and go, yet return, always return. That this ride across the sky is not just movement, it's memory in motion. Selene, that was one of her earliest names. In Greek mythology, she was not just the moon, but the personification of Ita, goddess, who drove a chariot pulled by silver horses across the night. Her path, they believed, stretched from one edge of the sky to the other. You imagine that chariot, now not with grandeur but grace, wheels made of light, horses with manes like stardust hooves, never touching earth, and Selene.calm and radiant, her gaze not fixed on any one place, but open to all. She rides not to dazzle, but to soothe. In some stories, she falls in love with a mortal Endymion, a shepherd or a king, depending on the telling. He sleeps forever in a cave, granted eternal rest, while Selene visits him night after night, bathing him in light. It's a story of devotion, yes, but also of sleep, of surrender, of being cared for in stillness. And you too are being visited tonight, not by myth, but by the rhythm of calm. The moon outside may still be behind the clouds, but you feel her anyway. You feel her in the quiet of your room, in the way your thoughts begin to drift, less tangled now, more like threads caught on the current. You wonder quietly, lazily, how many others are lying in rooms just like this, watching the same sky. How many windows are lit by the same silver glow. You are not alone under the moon, and you never have been. You settle deeper, the bed beneath you now, an ocean or a cloud or a hillside under stars. The shape of your breath echoes the shape of the tides, pulled gently by a body far away, but deeply known. The moon watches, yes, but not with judgment, not with curiosity, just with presence. And tomorrow she will rise again. But before we follow her deeper into history, into myths written on stone and calendars carved in bone, let yourself float here a little longer, still and glowing. bathed in a light that never asks you to shine back. Selene and her silver-hoofed chariot. The night deepens around you, soft and familiar. You lie quiet. Your thoughts move more freely, now unspooling like ribbons in the dark. Waits. You begin to see it, not as a grand arrival, but as something long remembered, a scene your mind seems to know already. Two silver horses, gentle-eyed and glowing, paw at the edge of the sky. Their hooves make no sound as they move. They carry a chariot not made of wood or steel, but of moonlight woven into shape. And in the center, still and radiant, rides Selene. She doesn't hold reins. She doesn't steer. The horses know the path. They've ridden it for thousands of nights, from horizon to horizon, dusk to dawn, trailing light over mountains and oceans and the roofs of sleeping cities. You ride beside her now, not in a rush, but drifting, as if lulled by the rhythm of hooves on stars. Long ago, in the minds of the Greeks, Selene was more than a moon goddess. She was the moon, a living presence that rose each night with steady grace. Her chariot swept through the sky after her brother Helios, the sun, had finished his daytime course. He blazed, she glowed, loved deeply, loved eternally. The most tender of her stories tells of Endymion, a mortal shepherd, or a prince, or perhaps a hunter. The details change, like clouds in moonlight. He was beautiful, they say, so beautiful that Selene fell in love the moment her light touched his sleeping face. Night after night, she returned to look upon him, and in some tellings, he was granted eternal sleep so that she could gaze upon him forever. Unchanged, you picture it, a quiet cave tucked in the hills of Anatolia, the air still and cool, a body resting in endless slumber while the moonlight drapes across him like silk. It's not a story of action, it's a story of stillness, of watching, of loving without needing anything in return. And that is how the moon feels, a companion who never interrupts, never demands, only visits and glows and waits. The idea of a moon chariot was not unique to Greece, and her story shimmered with similar imagery, horses drawing a soft-lit cart through the sky. In Babylon, in the land of ziggurats and stars etched in stone, the moon god Sin rode a horned steed through the heavens. His name was whispered alongside the stars, written in cuneiform on clay tablets baked by sun and time. Cultures across the ancient world gave their moon a ride, not to explain mechanics, but to express reverence. Movement in the heavens was not a force, it was a soul, a will, a sacred journey, and always the horses were white or silver or pale as mist. They did not gallop, they glided. You see them now, their manes flowing like river foam, their breath rising in puffs of stardust. They move through constellations like ships through fog, never straying, never straining, her robes trailing behind like clouds caught on the wind. You drift with her, not looking at the earth, but through it, through time. You pass over candlelit temples in Ephesus, over flat rooftops in Alexandria, where astronomers once charted the moon's phases by hand, drawing curves and crescents onto parchment that smelled of smoke and oil. You pass over oracles and offerings, over whispered prayers and silver coins pressed into palms. Somewhere, a child presses their face to a window, watching the moon with wide eyes, asking if it watches back. You know it does. You ride through stories now, slow and seamless. In China, they see not a chariot, but a rabbit, the moon rabbit, Yutul, who pounds herbs in a jade mortar, working patiently in the stillness. Sometimes they say he makes the elixir of life. Sometimes just rice cakes. His story drifts in and out of Mid-Autumn festivals and children's songs. If you look up during a full moon, you might see his shadow dot. In Korea, it is a similar rabbit, noble and quiet. In Japan, too, always the same shape in the moon's craters, interpreted with delight and wonder. A rabbit, a companion, not a goddess, but still a presence. In parts of Africa, stories shift. The moon becomes a trickster, or a wounded traveler, or a kind protector who appears in the dark when light is most needed. No matter the shape, the message remains. The moon is with us. You pass through Polynesian skies, where Hina, goddess of the moon, glides across waters on a canoe of light. Her story is told with waves and shells, passed from island to island by oral tradition, songs that rise with the tide, dot, and then, farther back, you pass over the first carvings made by human hands, bone and antler, marked with notches that echo lunar cycles, found in caves under layers of earth and silence. Even before writing, the moon was counted, tracked, trusted. You float through centuries as if time is no longer made of numbers, but of phases, waxing, waning, full new, are cradled in history, rocked by myth. Not as a spectator, but as a traveler. The world may have shifted toward science, toward telescopes and tides and lunar orbiters, but the stories never disappeared. They linger like smoke in the rafters of memory. Even now, many refer to a certain full moon as the milk moon. Others call it the pink moon, the wolf moon, the snow moon. Each name is rooted in season, in story, in the texture of time. Language wraps around the moon like a shawl, comforting, soft, slightly different in every culture, but always there. You imagine Selene glancing toward you now, not speaking, just sharing the ride. Her face is neither smiling nor solemn. It simply is quiet, knowing, luminous, and ahead of her the path continues. Toward more temples, toward tides pulled gently from shore, toward calendars chiseled in stone, and oceans listening in the dark. The sky opens slowly, like the first page of a forgotten book. You're not in a bed anymore. You're in a chariot of your own, carried by thought, by myth, by moonlight dot, and as Selena's hooves press softly into the stars, your mind begins to sense something forming in the distance, a rhythm deeper than story, a motion older than myth. Moon temples, calendars, and tide songs. The night is quiet around you, not empty, but full of presence. You feel it in the softness of the air, the way each breath echoes gently inside your chest. Somewhere far off, a bird stirs in a tree. A single leaf loosens from a high branch and tumbles unseen into grass kissed by dew. You lie still, but your thoughts begin to wander, not forward, but backward through time. You begin to walk barefoot on cool, smooth stone. The air smells faintly of old incense, of water kept still in clay vessels. Ahead, pale stone pillars rise into the dark, a ruined temple, its roof long vanished, now open to the stars. The moonlight settles on each surface like a careful hand. This place, it feels ancient but familiar. Maybe Anatolia, maybe Mesopotamia, or India, you're not sure. But your body remembers something. A rhythm, perhaps, a hush beneath stone. You walk between columns as prayers seem to linger in the air. Not words anymore, but the feeling of reverence suspended. In silence, the moon above watches, round and glowing, dot, and in places like this, thousands of years ago, she was more than a presence in the sky. She was a calendar, a clock, a deity. People tracked her cycles with care, not just for beauty, but for survival. You pause at the center of the temple floor. Beneath your feet are faint carvings, circles within circles, crescents beside dots, lunar symbols time, encoded in moonlight. Before there were watches, or apps, or alarms, there was the moon. She waxed and waned, again and again, marking time in the sky, long before we tried to control it. The first calendars, many believe, followed her rhythm. A month, a word drawn from moon, was not a number, but a shape. You see it now in your mind. A group of figures gathered beneath the open sky, heads tilted upward. One draws marks on stone or bone. Another hums a soft chant. They don't need precision. They need pattern. They need the comfort of something that returns. Across cultures, the moon marked when to plant and when to rest, when to gather and when to grieve. In India, many traditional calendars, the Panchang, still follow lunar rhythms. Festivals shift not by fixed dates, but by phases. The new moon for reflection, the full moon for release. You drift through these places to Babylon, where priest astronomers etched the movement of the moon into tablets of clay, to Egypt, where Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, kept lunar order in balance with the stars, to the Maya, where the moon was a weaver, threading time and tied with threads of silver, and to Greece, where Artemis, the huntress, shared the night sky with Selene, two faces of lunar grace. In each place, the moon was not a thing to conquer. She was a rhythm to trust, and that rhythm shaped not just time, but tides. You close your eyes and hear it now, the hush of a distant sea, waves, slow and deliberate, as if pulled by the hand of the moon herself. The ocean and the moon are tethered, an invisible string drawn tight across space. The moon's gravity reaches us, even here, pulling on Earth's water with every rise and fall. Tides are not noise, they are lunar breath, drawn in and released. Again and again, you imagine standing at the edge of the sea, feet buried in cool sand. The moon above swells the ocean, and the water reaches for you. It's not dramatic, it's inevitable. Just as your breath rises and falls, so does the tide. Just as the moon rises and sets, so does the water. You are not separate from these movements. You are part of them. And in this realization, you soften even more. You think of how the moon's pull influences more than waves. It moves within us, too. Some researchers believe human behavior mirrors lunar patterns in sleep, in mood, in the rhythm of the body. Perhaps it's no surprise. We are, after all, made of water, and the moon knows water well. You imagine now that your body is like a tide pool responding to distant lunar whispers. Your thoughts drift with the current, no resistance, no need to direct, just sway. You return to the temple in your mind, but it has changed. Now it is a gathering place, filled with quiet movement. Women press colored powders into moon-shaped designs on stone. Children scatter flower petals along paths where the moonlight will fall. Priests and monks and stargazers line up with bowls of oil and light small flames. Everything glows, a festival of the full moon, of rhythm, of light, of time that repeats, but never the same way twice. you feel part of it, not a visitor from the future, but someone who remembers, not from your brain, but from your breath, your blood, your bones, because the body keeps memory differently than the mind. The body listens to cycles. It remembers how to rest when the moon is dark and how to wake when she is full. And though the calendar on your wall may not say it tonight, tonight is a moon night. You stand once more on the temple floor, but this time there are markings drawn in ash, fresh, recent dot. They made an offering and they looked up, and as you do now, you realize the moon has shifted slightly, still full, still bright, but not quite where she was before. Time has moved. You have moved with it. You begin to walk again, down a path lined with stone lanterns, each one glowing with a small, steady light, and in their quiet glow, you hear a new sound rising, a hum dot, not from people, not from prayer, but from earth itself, low, long, ancient. It's the sound of the planet, gently flexing, under the moon's touch, a vibration so subtle, only deep instruments can hear it, but it is real, it is constant, and it is calling you onward, toward something quieter still, toward the moon's shadow, not her light, toward the mysteries of darkness, and what the new moon leaves behind. Myths across the world, the moon with many names. You lie still now, your breath calm, your thoughts softened like stones smoothed by water. The room is dim. Outside, the night is hushed, and the moon, though you cannot see her just yet, glows somewhere above rooftops and branches, as she always has. But in your mind, she becomes more than a glowing circle in the sky. She becomes a story, or rather, many stories whispered from land to land, like a soft breeze passing through generations. You curl inward, as if around a campfire, and begin to listen, not just with your ears, but with something older, something that remembers stories told. Before you ever knew what a moon was, in China, the moon holds the shape of a rabbit. They say that if you look up on a clear night, you'll see him, not hopping, but working, pounding herbs in a mortar with quiet patience. His name is Utu, the jade rabbit. He is said to live on the moon with the goddess Change, who drifted there after drinking the elixir of immortality. Now she waits, luminous and longing, and the rabbit keeps her company in the stillness. It is not a sad story. It is soft, a story of care and presence, of making something meaningful out of eternal waiting. You drift to Korea, where a similar rabbit lives, but here he isn't making potions. He's shaping rice cakes, sticky, warm, and sweet. Even the act of cooking is a kind of prayer beneath the moonlight. In Japan, he's there to always the rabbit, always working quietly, and each year, during Tsukimi, the moon viewing festival, families gather to admire the full moon, eat rice, dumplings, and honor the rabbit's silent devotion. You feel this thread of quiet work and warm tradition tugging gently across the sky, and the moon, always listening, always glowing, remains unchanged. But in other parts of the world, she wears different faces. In many parts of Africa, the moon is a traveler. She moves between earth and sky with purpose, sometimes playing the trickster, other times guiding the lost. In some Zulu stories, the moon is a wise old man, a guardian of time who returns night after night with measured grace. In other tales, the moon is wounded, scarred by betrayal or love, her cratered face, a reminder of stories too deep for daylight. She watches among the Inuit of the Arctic. The moon becomes an ingok, a brother chasing his sister, the sun, across the sky. Their eternal chase creates the cycle of day and night. Sometimes he comes close, and they nearly meet. Other times, they remain far apart, but always the movement continues, an endless dance, not of light and dark, but of longing. In Polynesia, you drift across the waves, now the moon, a canoe gliding through stars. Here, she is Hina, goddess of the moon and mother of tides. She paddles her canoe of silver through midnight oceans, watching over fishermen, healers, and dreamers. Some say she left Earth because she was tired of work and sought peace, so she rose not in anger, but in quiet resistance, and made the moon her home. You see her now, resting with her or beside her, glowing softly over the Pacific. These stories of rabbits, sisters, gods, and boats, they aren't contradictions, they are reflections, each one a human response to that same light in the sky. A way of saying, I see you, and I wonder, but sensory, connected to life on the ground. The wolf moon, when howls echo through snow-covered forests. The strawberry moon, when wild fruit stains fingers red. The harvest moon, full and bright, helping farmers gather crops long into dusk. You picture it, generations bending low in golden fields, eyes flicking upward toward the glowing orb that makes their work possible. The moon becomes a helper, a calendar, a caretaker, not a distant object, but a presence. You return now to India, where stories curl like incense. Here, the moon is Chandra, a gentle god, radiant and calm. He rides a chariot across the sky, pulled by 10 white horses. Some see him as the healer of the mind, the cool counterbalance to fire. He rules over Monday, the day of the moon, and presides over herbs, water, and the rhythm of rest. In Ayurvedic tradition, the moon is soothing, nurturing, like milk warmed at night, a symbol of ojas, the subtle energy of life and immunity. And during moonlit fasts and rituals, devotees sit beneath her glow, not just to watch, but to absorb her quiet strength. You begin to feel it too. That strength, not loud, but steady now. In your thoughts, you float through South America. The Inca once believed that Mama Kila, Mother Moon, governed the night and the tides. She was sister to the sun, protector of women, and ruler of calendars. Temples were built in her name, silver offerings placed on altars to catch her reflected glow. Priestesses watched her phases, divining times for planting, healing, and celebration. Even now, on clear nights in the Andes, her light spills across stone terraces and forgotten trails. Everywhere you drift, the stories remain, not frozen, but alive, retold, revised, remembered. You return to your room for a moment, still, quiet, modern, yet somehow filled with these myths. You are no longer just one person under the moon. You are part of a long, soft thread stretching through time, culture, memorya, tapestry of names. One, a version of love, because the moon is never one thing. She is what we need her to be. A rabbit for children, a goddess for sailors, a keeper of secrets, a calendar for farmers, a comfort for the sleepless, and you. Tonight, you see her with new eyes, not just as a story, but as a space where stories begin, a screen upon which humans have projected meaning for millennia. You lie back, letting those meanings settle like dust across your skin. Outside, the moon might be full, or just a sliver, or hidden behind cloud, but she is there, and you now carry her stories inside you, the ones from China and Polynesia, from Africa and Greece, from every corner of the world that has tilted its face upward in wonder. You begin to drift, held in the comfort of 1,000 myths, each one lit by moonlight, and as you drift, the stories begin to change, not in form, but in focus, no longer only about what we saw, but about what the moon did to us, how it pulled us, how it changed the waters of our world, and the ones within our own hearts. Glass, shadows, and the moon made real. The moon outside your window is silent, still, and small, suspended in the night. It feels both near and impossibly far. You rest quietly, breath slow, wondering, have we always seen her this way? Once, not so long ago, the moon was perfection. In the minds of ancient thinkers, she had to be flawless, smooth, a divine sphere glowing high above the mesinzas of earth, the heavens they believed were untouched by imperfection. The sky was the realm of gods, and the moon, their glowing lantern dot. But then came glass, not magic glass, not divine, just shaped and sanded by careful human hands. And through that glass, just a few curved lenses stacked in a wooden tube, came a new kind of seeing dot. Galileo Galilei changed everything. You imagine him now, standing on a dark rooftop in Padua, the chill of night creeping into his sleeves. He adjusts his instrument slowly, breath held, eyes wide, and then there she is, not smooth, but scarred, not perfect, but alive, with detail. Craters, mountains, shadows that shift as the moon herself moves, a surface, not an idea. And you, lying still now, can almost feel the quiet thrill of that moment. The same moon, yet suddenly new. Galileo wrote of what he saw. The moon is not smooth, uniform, and precisely spherical. It is full of inequalities, uneven, full of hollows and prominences. What a gentle way to describe such a revelation, not flawed, but full of detail, like a face made interesting by time. And just like that, the moon came closer, not in distance, but in intimacy. Through telescopes, people began to sketch her curves. Name her seas, though they are not seas at all. Mare Tranquillitatis, the sea of tranquility. Mare Crisium, the sea of crises. Mare Imbrium, the sea of showers. Each one not wet, but dark, smooth plains of hardened lava. The glass improved, bigger lenses, finer focus. Telescopes climbed mountains, escaped city lights, and reached into the stars. You drift now through time, wonder and wait. Some does at their desks, their notes smudged by candlelight and sleep. And through it all, the moon watches, not brighter, not closer, but increasingly seen. Then comes the age of rockets, metal arms reaching toward the sky. No longer just eyes on Earth looking up, but machines rising toward her glow. In 1959, the Soviet Luna 2 probe crashes into the moon, the first object made by humans to touch another world. And in that instant, a distance collapses. You picture it, the silence after impact. No atmosphere to carry sound, only dust displaced and history made. Luna 3 soon follows, circling around to photograph the far side, the dark side of the moon. And for the first time, we see what was hidden, not evil, not magical, just unknown, and now known. You feel a shiver, not of cold, but of awe. The moon, once distant myth, becomes terrain, a place with a far side, a place we can visit, maybe even walk upon. And then we do. Apollo 11, the first human footsteps, settle into soft gray dust. Neil Armstrong's voice crackles through time. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. You picture that moment, not from Earth, but from the moon itself. The hush of space, the slow motion movements, the way boots press into regolith like footprints into flour. Even there, science in action. The moment remains poetic. The astronauts describe the light differently. Not white, not yellow, but silvery, sharp, pure. The shadows are absolute. No breeze, no birds, only the sound of their own breath inside their suits. They gather samples, place instruments, and leave behind a flag and their footprints. Even now, those prints are still there, untouched. The moon has no wind to erase them. You rest, your palm over your chest, feeling the rhythm of your heart, beating with the same slow regularity that once aligned with lunar calendars. You remember that this cold, distant place, this cratered orb of stone, once regulated the tides of not just water, but of time, of life, of myth. And even now, with all the data, all the pictures, all the samples, she still holds something we can't measure, because through glass and metal and math, we've gotten closer, and yet the dream remains. A telescope may show you her shadows. That silence is what you hear now, soft as sleep, vast as a sea with no waves. Science hasn't broken the spell, it has only deepened it for each. Leaves space for wonder. The moon becomes not less magical, but more real. And with reality comes intimacy. You know her better now. You've seen her through Galileo's lens, through Apollo's visor, through robotic eyes sailing across blackness. And still, when she rises, low and golden on the horizon, you feel something ancient stir. Wonder never needed to be wrong. It only needed room to evolve. You imagine a child somewhere far away, looking through their first telescope, not for data, not for discovery, but just to see, just to be seen. And perhaps that's what all this glass was for, to bring us close enough to remember how it feels to wonder. The moon remains where she has always been, pocked, luminous, loyal, not just a mirror of sunlight, but a mirror of ourselves. And as your thoughts slow again, folding into the quiet like shadows, folding into dunes, you begin to sense that this closeness, this new, real moon, more to show not in her light, but in the way she pulls, softly, steadily, at the oceans below, and perhaps at something in you, too. Moondust and Selene return to Earth. You lie still, eyes half closed, as if sleep has already come. But somewhere in your thoughts, in that quiet space between dream and waking, you're floating, not above your bed, not above the world, but above the moon. Beneath you stretches a sea of ash-colored stillness. The surface is soft, not because it yields, but because it does not resist. Gray upon gray, shadows folding into themselves. There is no wind, no sound, only the faintest hum inside your suit, your breath, your heartbeat, the slow tick of human presence in a place untouched for most of time. You lower your foot, and the dust stirs it, rises slowly, like powder spilled in weightless water. Moon dust is not like Earth's soil. It is sharp, dry, ancient, formed by meteors and eons. Each grain fractured by impact, jagged under a microscope, clinging to suits and boots, like memory. You step forward, slowly. Gravity here is gentler, a sixth of what you know. Every movement feels like floating, like your body is remembering how to be weightless. The surface gives slightly under your boots, but never fully. It cradles, it remembers. These are the footprints that will not fade. No wind will smooth them. No rain will wash them. Long after you are gone, they will remain soft imprints in an otherwise unchanging world. This is where Apollo came, where astronauts crossed a threshold, not just of distance, but of history. The first human steps outside. Earth's embrace. You picture it. 1969. Buzz Aldrin bouncing lightly on the moon's surface. His words quiet, steady, magnificent desolation. Not a contradiction, but a perfect phrase. The awe of emptiness. The grandeur of silence. And in that silence, something changed. Not in the moon, in us. The moon did not need us, but we had always needed her. Through mythology, we gave her names. Through telescopes, we gave her features. Through missions, we gave her touch. But through it all, she gave us perspective. From space, Earth looked small, blue, fragile, a living breath in a black sky, and the moon just a step away. You drift now through the legacy of Apollo.6 missions, 12 moonwalkers, flags planted, instruments left, rock samples gathered in gloved hands, carried back to Earth like sacred relics. Those rocks told stories of volcanic eruptions, frozen in time, of impacts that shaped her craters, of a moon born from Earth's own body, a twin made in fire and collision. And yet, when scientists looked closer, they found that her rocks had a poetry to olivine and pyroxene, basalt hardened in vacuum glass, beads formed by ancient lava fountains, tiny orbs, clear, amber, green, scattered through regolith like celestial dew. You see them now in your imagination, held between tweezers, turned gently beneath a microscope's soft light. Not just rocks, but memories. And still, after Apollo, silence again. For decades, no human returned. The footprints stayed. The flags faded. The lunar modules sat quiet under the stars, half covered in dust. The moon watched, as always. But on Earth, time moved forward, new. Missions turned their eyes toward Mars, toward the outer planets, toward distant galaxies. Yet something within us kept glancing back. We hadn't forgotten her. We never could, because something about the moon feels like home. Even though we've never lived there, something about her light still draws us, soft, familiar, reflective. And so we began to dream again. This time, her name is Artemis, named for Selene's sister, the Greek goddess of the hunt, the wilderness, the twin of Apollo and Artemis. Like her namesake, is strong. She rises in this new century with ambition, but also with reverence. NASA's Artemis program is not just about going back. It's about returning better, with women, with people of color, with new technologies, with new intentions, and not just to touch, but to stay. You picture the new suits, sleeker, more flexible. You picture the new ships, Orion, like the constellation that follows Artemis in the sky. You picture astronauts training, rehearsing slow steps, their shadows long on simulated lunar soil. Soon, perhaps, another human will stand on the moon and speak words into the stillness once more. But this time, not alone. We are bringing robots, tools, experiments, habitats, preparing for permanence. We are not visiting, we are learning to live with the moon, and through Artemis, Selene returns to Earth, not as a goddess in the sky, but as a guiding light. In our science, she sits now on posters, in classrooms, she glows on mission patches, she orbits in children's bedtime stories about space, about stars, about daring to leap. And as you lie here, breathing softly, you feel her presence again, not just outside your window, but within you. The same moon that once carried myths now carries plans. The same light that once illuminated gods now lights landing pads, but her glow hasn't changed. The moon doesn't mind that we've studied her. She doesn't hide from knowledge. In fact, she invites it. She allows you to wonder while knowing to feel, while understanding to see craters and still dream of chariots. And that is her greatest gift. She holds both myth and math, emotion and evidence, shadow and glass. You sit now at the edge of something vast, not just space, but the boundary between ancient wonder and future steps. The moon still feels distant, yet she's never been closer. In your room, the light at the window curves gently across the floor. It is moonlight, soft and real, older than empires. You've seen it painted in stories, scattered in poems, reflected in telescopes and helmet visors. But now, it simply rests on your blankets, on your eyelids, on your thoughts. You view it not as a beam, but as a breath. The moon doesn't call you to solve her. She asks only that you sit with her, that you remember her stories and write new ones, not in stone, but in motion, in soft, slow steps across silver dust. And when Artemis lands, when boots press gently again into powder, untouched for 50 years, we will not be returning to myth. We will be continuing a memory, because Selene has never truly left. She has always hovered quietly at the edge of sleep, waiting. You think now of the astronauts who slept in lunar modules, who looked out tiny portholes into darkness, who missed Earth and brought a piece of the moon home with them. And now it is your turn to return, not from the moon, but to yourself, to your pillow, to your body, to the world below. Softened by shadow, brightened by silver, you take a breath and begin to feel the gentle pull, not upward, but inward, a gravity of stillness, where myth has softened into science, and science has become story, and story becomes rest. Tomorrow she will rise again, but tonight let your dreams drift slowly toward the ocean, where tides await their pull. and Selene continues her ride. High above it all, she's passed over temples, over ocean, and now over your sleeping thoughts. You may not feel her wheels or hear her chariot move, but she's there, and she always returns. So when your eyes grow heavy again, know that the moon will ride once more, and her soft light will find you wherever you are.